So looking at half angle identities, the first thing we need to do is write down the identities for the half angles. So this is theta divided by 2. And because we're taking the square root, we're going to have a positive and a negative value. So the sine is going to be negative cosine theta divided by 2. And cosine theta divided by 2 is going to be 1 plus cosine. So that's going to be the positive. Tan theta divided by 2. We can think of this as sine divided by cosine. So the sine value is 1 minus cos divided by 1 plus cos theta. And this is where we can have cosine of the angle cannot equal minus 1. Otherwise, the denominator will be equal to 0 and it'll be undefined. So we're going to use these identities to find our half angles. So our first example, so we have find the exact value of cos theta divided by 2 if sine theta is minus 4/5 and theta is in quadrant 3. So we need to find sine, so we're going to use the Pythagorean identity. So this is going to be cosine squared theta is 1 minus sine squared theta. And we're going to substitute in the value that we know. We're finding cosine, we know sine, so we're going to substitute in minus 4/5 squared. And then this will be, if we square it, it'll be 16 over 25. And if we subtract that from 1, so that is going to be 9 over 25. And we're going to take the square root from both sides. And this will leave us with plus or minus 3 over 5. Now we needed to see which quadrant. So we were told that we're in quadrant 3. So in quadrant 3, tangent is the only positive. So our answer for cosine is going to be negative. So we've got negative 3/5. So now we've worked out the cosine, we can find the half angle for cosine. So the formula 1 plus cosine theta divided by 2. And we're going to substitute in the values. So that's going to be, it's minus, so it's plus minus 3/5 divided by 2. And this is going to be 1 minus 3/5 divided by 2. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply by 5 so we can eliminate. So if I do that, 5 times 1 is 5. And then the 5s will cancel out on this side. So we're just left with minus 3. And then 5 times 2 is 10. So this is 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 divided by 10, that simplifies to a fifth. So if I rewrite, this is root 1 over root 5. And if I rationalize the denominator, This is just root 5, and this simplifies to root 5 over 5. Now, if our angle is in quadrant 3, our angle is between 180 and 270. So our half angle is going to be between 90 and 135, which is quadrant 2. And in quadrant 2, only sine is positive, and we have found cosine. So cosine, our half angle, is going to be minus root 5 over 5. Okay, so we have another example. So this time we're going to find the exact value of cosine 67.5 degrees. Now, if cosine 67.5 degrees is equal to a half angle, this means the half angle was 135 divided by 2 to give us 67.5. So you're going to substitute this into the formula for cosine. So it's 1 plus cosine, and the angle, we're going to put 135, and we're going to divide by 2. So if we replace cosine 35, this is going to be with root 2 divided by 2. Let's just correct the square root sign. And this is all over 2. So now I can multiply. If I multiply both by 2, so 2 times 1 is 2. And the 2's then, these will simplify. So I'm just left with root 2. And on the bottom, I have 4. So I need to now simplify. I can't simplify any, actually, this is minus. So this should be minus. So I've written this here should be a minus. So let's change that. Because we had minus root. This is minus root 2 over 2. So, right, we're going to just simplify this last bit now. So if I rewrite this as 2 minus root 2 over root 4, and then this can be 2 minus root 2, and root 4 is just 2. So now we just need to decide if this is positive or negative. So cosine of 67.5, this is in quadrant 1, and in quadrant 1 everything is positive. So this is going to take a positive answer. So this is positive. Okay, so looking at the guided practice, we need to find the exact value of sine theta divided by 2 if sine of theta is 2/3 and theta is in quadrant 2. So the first thing we need to do, if we're trying to find sine of theta divided by 2, we will notice that the formula asks us for cosine. So the first thing we need to do is find the value for cosine. So to do this, we are going to use the identity. So we're going to use cosine squared theta is equal to 1 minus sine squared theta, and we're going to substitute in the value that we have for sine. So cosine squared theta is 1 minus 2/3 squared. So this will be 1 minus 4/9. So 5/9, and we need to take the square root. So cosine theta is going to be plus or minus the square root of 5/9, which is plus or minus root 5/3. So if we look at our quadrants, and we know it's in quadrant 2, and in quadrant 2 only sine is positive, so we know that our cosine of theta is actually negative, so it's going to be minus root 5/3. Now we have the value for sine and the value for cosine. We can put this into the formula. So sine theta divided by 2 is plus or minus 1 minus cosine theta divided by 2. And now we just need to substitute in the values that we know. So this is 1 minus, and this is root 5/3 divided by 2. So I'm going to multiply, just rewrite this out again. So I'm going to multiply both by 3. So these were everything by 3, so this will simplify. And then I'll have 3 minus, actually that's a minus there. So that's going to be minus, and a minus is a plus. So that's 3 plus root 5. And that is divided by 6. Now I need to sort out the square root, because the root is over all of it. Let me just correct this one as well. The root is over all of it. So what we need to do now is look at this. So we have 3 plus root 5 over root 6. Now we can't have a radical on the denominator, so we're going to rationalize. So because we have double roots here, this is going to become root 6 times root 3 is going to be root 18. And then 6 times the root 1 is going to be 6. And then we have our root 5. And then root 6 times root 6, 36, is just 6. So now we need to decide if it's positive or negative. So theta is in quadrant 2. And quadrant 2 is between 90 and 180. So theta divided by 2 is between 40 and 130, 45 and 135. No, it's not 135, it's 90, which is quadrant 1. So in quadrant 1, everything is positive. So our value is going to be 18 plus 6 root 5 divided by 6. And this is positive.